In a quiet town, there was an old house at the end of a forgotten lane, long abandoned but still whispered about in hushed tones. It was said that every night at midnight, a flickering light would dance in the attic window, accompanied by soft, eerie laughter that sent shivers down the spines of those brave enough to pass by. Curiosity gnawed at Sarah, a local teenager with an adventurous spirit. One fateful night, she gathered her friends eager to prove that the stories were nothing more than local folklore. Armed with flashlights, they approached the house, its sagging porch groaning beneath their weight. The door creaked open as if welcoming them inside. Dust motes swirled in the beam of their flashlights, and shadows loomed ominously. They made their way through the dimly lit rooms, laughter echoing uneasily off the peeling walls. When they reached the staircase, they heard it, a giggle, high-pitched and childlike, wafting down from above. "Let's check the attic," Sarah suggested, her voice barely above a whisper. Reluctantly, her friends followed her up the creaking steps, their hearts pounding in their chests. The air grew colder with each step, thickening with anticipation. At the top, they pushed open the attic door, and the flickering light flooded the room. To their shock, they found a dusty old mirror, its surface shimmering unnaturally, reflecting not their faces but a group of children, pale and translucent, their eyes wide with an otherworldly hunger. "Play with us," they whispered in unison, their voices echoing in the confined space. Panic gripped Sarah, and she stumbled backward, but her friends were entranced, stepping closer to the mirror as if drawn by an invisible force. "Don't go," she cried, but they didn't hear her. One by one, they reached out, their fingers brushing the glass. In an instant, the attic filled with laughter, but it was no longer innocent. It morphed into a cacophony of screams as the mirror cracked, splintering into 1,000 shards. In the blink of an eye, her friends were gone, absorbed into the glass. Frozen in horror, Sarah turned to flee, but the door slammed shut behind her. The laughter intensified, echoing all around, mingling with her frantic breaths. She rushed to the window, but it wouldn't budge. The room twisted as shadows loomed, forming into the children's figures, their faces twisted in sinister glee. "Now it's your turn," they chanted, reaching out with icy fingers, pulling her toward the mirror. As the glass shimmered again, Sarah's heart raced. She could hear her friends' cries, faint and desperate, trapped in that cursed reflection. In that moment, she understood the truth of the house. It wasn't abandoned. It was a trap, a playroom for the lost, and now she was to be the newest playmate. With one last burst of adrenaline, Sarah lunged for the door. It swung open, and she dashed down the stairs, the laughter ringing in her ears. She burst through the front door and ran into the night, never looking back. But every night after that, at midnight, she would hear the laughter echoing in her mind, and sometimes, just sometimes, she would catch a glimpse of the flickering light at the end of the lane, calling her back to the house, to the friends she lost, forever playing in the mirror's grip.